Hello, human. Reflective Self here with a new episode of Living Lessons, where I get to share honest insights from lived experience. Lessons that capture moments of clarity, vulnerability, and human understanding. Today's episode is all about shifting from seeking acceptance to choosing alignment. And so here's the lesson that I've learned. Knowing where you stand asks that you belong to yourself, not to others. There is a question that most of us carry, even if we rarely voice it out loud. Where do I belong? It doesn't always sound dramatic. Sometimes it shows up in small moments, in how we adjust ourselves in a room, in how we measure our words, in how we scan for approval before we settle. At the core of who we are lies a simple desire. A desire to be seen, to be understood, to be experienced, to be witnessed. This desire is deeply and vulnerably human. And because it matters so much, it can also feel risky. Admitting we want connection means admitting we could be hurt. And admitting we want belonging means admitting we could be rejected or misunderstood. So instead of naming the need, we sometimes reshape ourselves to secure it. When we find ourselves alone, external belonging can start to feel like oxygen. Necessary, urgent, non-negotiable. So we adapt. We soften our edges. We take on burdens. We overextend. We shape-shift into something more palatable, more acceptable, more easily chosen. And for a while, it can work. We feel important. We feel like we matter. We feel chosen. But often, all that effort comes at an energetic cost. And that cost is clarity. There is a difference between performance and connection. Performance requires constant monitoring. Connection does not. One depletes, while the other sustains. When our sense of belonging depends on how well we are received, our principles are quietly set aside. Not because we lack values, but because tolerating the silence, especially during lonely seasons, can feel heavier than compromise. Somewhere along the way, we begin to confuse belonging with being chosen. We surrender our belonging outward before we've built it inward. And in that exchange, something subtle happens. The noise of seeking approval grows louder than the voice of our own internal compass. Clarity becomes harder to access, because clarity isn't usually found in chaotic or crowded rooms. It often waits in the silence we try to avoid. Imagine sitting in a room alone with nothing but your presence and the rise and fall of your breath. No distractions to keep you company. No dopamine hit to feed your nervous system. This kind of silence can be uncomfortable. It can feel like absence, like lack, like rejection, like loneliness. But silence can also be something else entirely. It can be where self-belonging begins. When we stop escaping it, silence can become an incubator, a space where we meet ourselves without performance, without immediate feedback, without applause or correction. At first, that can feel disorienting. But with time, if we allow it, it can become familiar. We start to notice our own rhythms, understand our preferences, laugh at our quirks, and experience the way we move through the world when no one is watching. We begin to witness ourselves, and in that witnessing, something steadies. Belonging to ourselves doesn't mean we are complete. It means we are rooted. It means we have built a stable home from within. And from that home, we can now welcome others in without losing our footing. We know who we are and what we stand for. We breathe and move differently. We observe with more agency. We gather enough signs and signals to discern what truly aligns with our inner compass. And when it is time to speak, our words come from conviction, not approval. The question shifts from, where do I belong? To, does this align with who I am? That shift is subtle, but life-altering. Because knowing where we stand asks that we belong to ourselves first. When we belong to ourselves, we no longer chase spaces for acceptance. We recognize that not every room or person is meant for us. And that doesn't diminish our worth. It clarifies it. The spaces that resonate will feel less like performance and more like participation, less like proving and more like being. Because self-belonging in the right spaces is rarely perceived as a form of defiance. It is recognized as authenticity. Belonging was never meant to feel like performance. When it does, it asks for reevaluation, not self-erasure. The moment we know we belong to ourselves is the moment we stop negotiating our existence. We no longer ask to be chosen. We no longer ask to be kept. We are standing with both feet planted, and from that place, we don't have to search so hard for where we fit. We already own our place in the world. And that is the lived lesson that I've learned. It's not a universal prescription, but it is mine. Keep what stays, release what doesn't. Until next time.